Yes, seventh class. So, we have just started the chapter, the Delhi Sultans. So, I was discussing about Razia. She was the Iltutmish daughter and she became the Sultan at that time. So, chronicler of the age, Minaj e Siraj, recognized that she was more able and qualified than all her brothers. Yes, dear students, at that time she was a woman ruler. She, she ruled over the Sultanate at that time when the women they were not allowed to move out of their houses. She was only there, means the women they were only there for the taking care of the family, and even they were not allowed to study also. So very less girl or women were there, those who study due to their family, you can say so. And she was more able and qualified than her all her brothers, but she ruled over only for 4 years. 4 years. Now because the all the ministers they were not happy to work under a lady, so she was removed from the kingdom in 1240 and killed also. She was killed by her brothers and the ministers, because at that time gender discrimination was there. Here it is, I'm just highlighting that gender discrimination, the social and biological differences between women and women men, such kind of differences they were having at that time. So Minaj Israel also, some things they have written about Razia Sultan. At that time, the woman was supposed to be subordinate to men. Behind the men, she has to work. In the register of God's creation, since her account did not fall under the column of men, how did she gain from all of her excellent qualities? Means at that time, the people they believed that the man was the main head of the family and he is only allowed to do the work. So, why the powers were given to a lady? That was the Razia Sultan. So, many other women they also ruled over the different areas at that time. Still, the maximum people they were not happy under the rule of ladies. So, here the question arises that do you think that it was good at that time? The ladies were not allowed to rule. So I'm just putting a question mark here. What do you think? That women should be given equal rights, or always they should have to move behind the men? So think and then write down. From garrison town to empire, the expansion of the Delhi Sultanate. In the early 13th century, the control of the Delhi Sultans rarely went beyond heavily fortified towns occupied by garrisons. The Sultan seldom controlled the hinterland and of the cities and was therefore dependent upon trade, tribute, or plunder for supplies. Means many of the Sultan they came here only for the loot purpose, you can say so. Because to control the towns in Bengal and from Sindh was extremely difficult. Maybe rebellion, war they have fought, bad weather stopped them for communication or for moving here and there. The state was also challenged by Mongols' invasions from Afghanistan and by governors who rebelled in any sign of the Sultan's weakness. Means the people, those who came here, they came here for the plunder or for the loot purpose. But again, many of the other kings, they also try to control over the areas, like the Mongols. It is mentioned here. The first set of campaigns along the internal frontier of Sultanate aimed at consolidating the hinterlands of the garrison town. During these campaigns, forest was cleared in Ganga Yamuna Dwab, and hunter gatherer and pastoralists expelled from their habitat. So when the other rulers, they controlled over the area, so many of the people they expelled from the areas, and they were mainly the hunter gatherers or the pastoralists. Here I just want to tell you, the hunter gatherers means those who move from one place to another and hunt the animals, and pastoralists means those who reared the animals and they move one place to another to sell the milk, ghee, etc., you can say. So they were expelled from the areas, and the mainly the forests they were cleared to expand the agriculture, say, you can say. Okay, next one. These lands were given to the peasants, and as I've told you, that agriculture was encouraged at that time. That's why the new areas they have cleared at that area. The second expansion occurred along the external frontier of the Sultanate. That was a military expedition into southern India started during the reign of Alauddin Khalji with Muhammad Tughlaq. So Sultanate armies captured elephants, horses, slaves, and carried away precious metals also. Here I want to discuss one of the two things here, that they expanded their armies with the help of elephants, horses, and slaves. The slaves. It was a community, as we have purchased different types of things, so they were also in the habit of purchasing slaves. Mean the people, those who work for the king for the whole life, they have to work under the kings. So by the end of the Muhammad Tughlaq reign, 150 years after somewhat humble beginnings, the armies of the Delhi Sultanate had marched across a large part of the subcontinent. They have defeated the rival armies, means the opposite armies, and seized cities. The Sultanate collected taxes from the peasantry and dispensed justice in its reign. But how complete and effective was its control over such a vast territory? Means the areas they have covered, they just asked the peasants to give the revenue, and that revenue was used to maintain the army, and they also looted many of the expensive things, you can say, the many of the precious metals, slaves, they also they plunder each and everything provided here. So it's a map, you can say, the Khalji, Alauddin Khalji campaign to South India. So from Delhi he moved with the help of a pink arrow, you are able to understand ki how he moved from one place to another. So how he controlled over the areas. So at that time, many of the different rulers from different areas, they came here in India, and they tried to control over the different uh, kingdoms. So at that time, because many of the sultans they came here, so they also made many of the mosques and here, and they also called it as a masjid in Arabic. So at that time, when the Delhi sultans they settled down here, so they made the mosques, literally a place where a Muslim, they just do their prayers together, which they called as the namaz. So member of the congregation choose the most respected learned male as their leader, imam. Imam, you just the leader in the mosque, to for the prayer purpose, you can say, and all the rituals were done by him. So he also delivered the sermon, or you can say the khutbah, during the Friday prayer. So it was a word used in their language. So during prayer, Muslims stand facing the Makkah in India. This is to the west, and this is called the Qibla. So some uh, words they are used here, and it was used in their Muslim language for the purpose of the prayer. So many of the mosques were maintained at that time, and all the Muslims they together went there and they together pray for their Lord. Some more examples they are mentioned here. That is, sultans built several mosques in cities all over the subcontinents. These demonstrated their claims to be protectors of Islam and Muslims. Yes, my dear students, only they made the mosque to show, to give respect to their religion, and all the to tell the Muslims that they are here and they have to pray for their Lord. It also helped to create the sense of community of believers when they together pray there. So the maximum people they feel united at that time, that they are united, and they belong to the same community, and they shared a belief system, a code of conduct in which the all people they are equal and united, because Muslims came from a variety of background. So these mosques was just treated as a symbol of unity, and everybody have to come to mosque for the prayer. So that is all for the day, and rest of the things we will discuss in our next video. So up to that time you have to read it again and again, and if there is any confusion you can ask that.